Over the years, app icons have gotten more and more simple. While this has made them super easy to recognize at a glance, lots of people like the personality and detail of the older designs. So today I'm gonna redesign each of these apps to be totally overcomplicated, then even more simplified, and at the end you can decide whether it's better for these brands to keep toning down their designs or if they should bring back the detail. Welcome back to Fix the World. Let's kick things off with Instagram. Now, honestly, I do think this gradient they got going on is pretty nice. And this is, of course, a simplified version of their old logo, this camera. To start, I'm gonna do the overcomplicated design. In order to do that, we need to know what kind of camera this is. And the answer to that is kind of complicated. Instagram's very first logo was actually this one, which was a pretty blatant ripoff of the Polaroid One Step, which was a very popular instant camera, giving us the Insta in Instagram. And you can see they kept the rainbow stripe in a few of the different elements, but other parts of it don't quite match up, like this leather texture. And if you ask me, this looks a little closer to a rangefinder style camera, which notably has the leather texture and the viewfinder in the corner. That's just the little piece of glass you look through. But even compared to this, there's some details that aren't quite matching up. Like they kind of swapped the metal texture with the leather. And obviously lots of the details like the dials and the flash are totally missing in the Instagram logo. So with all that in mind, let's try to make one more in this style. We want all those grooves to be nice and big, so you'll be able to see them even from far away. Then we can grab a metal texture to go above. But you know, already looking at that looks really boring. Like I said, I do really like this color palette of the newer versions. We don't have to go that extreme, but let's just pop some color in here. Same with the leather, let's pop some color into that as well. It doesn't look super awesome yet, just wait. I just want to jam everything in here first, and then we can worry about all the lighting and coloring. That being said, I do want to add just a little shadow right here. Just a nice little way to blend those two parts together. You can see the little gap between the pieces on this. I do like that. Let's try to replicate it by just moving this down. And while we're at it, we'll add a little highlight onto our leather here. Now let's try to find a camera that's got a nice lens for us to steal. Shrink that down to size. And it is really hot in here. I need to change my shirt. Okay. This is a decent start, but I kind of want to get all this detail that's around the lens. Maybe just something simple like this will do. Let's cut it out real quick. We'll get our other lens on top, and let's just fit them together. Then actually, let's just take the viewfinder from that camera as well. I'll cut that out nicer in a second, don't worry. Then honestly, let's just keep rolling with this camera. Let's get all these little buttons and screws and flash and everything. Try to line things up a little nicely. And we gotta pay respects to the old versions. Let's keep that rainbow stripe going. Get some rectangles in here, and we'll blend them based off color. Boom, bop, bam, pow. And actually, I think it'll work better if we change this red back to gray. And that texture looks a little too detailed. Maybe we'll zoom it back out a little. Let's add the nice shadow back in there. And those rectangles aren't popping out quite as much as I wanted to. Let's try the other blend modes. That's fine. Let's try to make these little elements blend in a little better. My idea for that is we'll cut out specifically these parts. What we can do is just add a bevel and emboss filter, make it nice and deep. We want it to be going inwards. Do that on the viewfinder as well. Maybe set it in a little deeper. That's trippy. That actually works really well. Now, this is kind of hard to implement, but I think this curve right here showing this dial is really nice. And that'd be a super good addition to our actual logo. So we'll put that right on top like so. And now that we kind of got that shape in mind, let's try to copy it with our metal texture. Cut it out just like this. And we can put that all the way to the back. Very cool. I'm not in love with the purpleness of the leather. Let's try shifting that over to more of a pink. Kind of like this little floating screw here. Let's just get that in here. Now we definitely need to do some more lighting work. Let's do a little shadow from the lens like the old version. That actually works pretty well. Back on the metal, let's do the top rim here. And let's just apply some nice lighting to the entire thing. Starting with a nice shadow. And I know I'm all over the place here, but let's actually cut out around this lens a little bit. Just a nice little cutout to help the lens stand out. Oh, I almost forgot. We really got to add this Insta text back in here. I almost imagine that as like a little patch. I don't know if that physically makes sense with how small it is, but let's just try it out. Shrink that down nice and small. And let's take that word out. We'll get our own text in here. Try to match that as much as possible. Anyway, I'll try to clean this up a little more later and maybe tweak the colors. But no matter what you think about it, that is definitely more overcomplicated. So I call that a success. And of course, now we gotta make it oversimplified. And if you ask me, this just comes down to one main change. You can see they simplified this logo into this one, but it's kind of weird that they shrunk the app icon into itself. Like that was kind of totally unnecessary. So instead, we'll just keep these two little circles, and we'll of course keep the gradient background. Gotta be sure it's just as vibrant. Two circles, one smaller. This one is not filled in, but it has a stroke. I don't know, man. I don't know what else you can ask for, honestly. That's just about the only way to oversimplify that logo. That's already so simple. I love how it doesn't even kind of represent a camera anymore. That is kind of sick. I think doing this has already made me appreciate this style and the more modern style even more. Like something about this one seems so nice and clickable. Like I almost want to eat it. Let me know if your team's simple or complicated on this one. I'm honestly pretty split. Cool, now moving on, let's do the Maps app. This can be either Google Maps or Apple Maps, whichever one wants to use it first. We of course just gotta make this look like an old pirate map. Let's drop some nice texture in here. We wanna be sure to include all these little edges. That's really nice. I especially like that fold on the corner, but we might have to stitch some of these parts together so that it all fits. We'll do a little bit of warping so that it's nice and good. Then there's nothing more maps than X marks the spot. So we'll just do a little trail of strokes like so. And we'll take out just a little bit of those highlights so that it blends a little better. And we'll switch to red and do a big ol' X. Not gonna lie, I actually think that looks pretty dang clean. For being overly complicated, I think that it could still actually genuinely work. Cool, then moving on to the simple design. So since most people use Google Maps, we'll base it more off this one, meaning we'll start with the Google blue color. An obvious fix for the Google one specifically would be to just make it all one color. But thinking about what people actually use maps for, it's not to know where you're at or where a location is, it's to know where to go. Apple shows this a little better where it shows the act of moving. What are the two most basic parts of driving? Going straight and turning right. Let's get a rectangle in here. Same sort of thing as the Instagram one where it's got the stroke instead of the fill. We want to round that corner and get one final shape, a triangle. That is aggressively simple. That's crazy. Now, if we wanted to make this Google style, we could still do those Google colors and the white background, but I'm delivering what I promised. Oversimplified, there you go. Again, it's totally debatable, but at least for me, I'm team Overcomplicated on this one. All right, moving on, we got the most popular music app, Spotify. Now, the right thing to assume is that these are like sound waves emitting in the circle, but I was kind of curious, so I was looking up what the logo is supposed to be, and they say the circle symbolizes eternal elements while portraying a sense of community and infinite connectivity. Yeah, right, dude. It's just lines, come on. Now, I'll be real, there's another creator on YouTube that did a similar video, Brandon Shepard. He also redesigned Spotify to be more realistic. Go check his video out, it's pretty cool. But I'm not trying to be a copycat, I'm doing my own thing. He ended up going for a radio theme, but I'm actually getting a different sort of idea from this. These lines on the circle are kind of reminding me of grooves on a vinyl record. So I think we should put a green vinyl record on a turntable, and we'll figure out what to do about those lines. Obviously, records come in the black color most of the time, but all the time they make totally unique color combinations. From what I understand, they start with like these waxy chunks and then kind of just arrange them however they want. And then when they press the vinyl with the machine to get all the little grooves, they end up getting crazy designs like this. I don't know, it's kind of just interesting and cool. Let's get a blank label right in the middle. And let's try to match that Spotify green as much as possible. It's a little more on the blue side, like so. Then yeah, of course, we're going for a kind of top-down view of a turntable like this, or a record player rather. I don't know the difference. Let's drop that in the background. I want to line up the shine so the lighting's realistic. So we'll rotate this just like they do. Then of course we want the needle to actually be on the record. So let's outline this real quick. I don't want the app to just look like a picture of a turntable. I want it to look more like the actual turntable. So that means we have to line things up a little differently. Then I actually don't even want any of the picture other than the needle, I'm realizing. So let's cut that out real quick. Let's get our old friend metal texture back in here. Maybe metal is not accurate considering it's like gonna scratch things up or something. I don't know. Not my problem. I'm not worrying about it. And I kind of want to round the edges Let's get a nice wood texture. Something like this feels right. Okay, we definitely need a knob put in the corner or something. Let's just shrink that down a little. Give it a little more room to breathe. Okay, the knob should probably go on the metal bit. It only makes sense, right? I think it should probably be silver rather than gold, and it obviously needs a shadow. Oh, I need the little peg, which since it's top down, it's gonna look the exact same as a metal ball. Shrink that down real small and put it right in the nub. I'm actually just gonna copy the shading I had from the Instagram one. I think that worked out nice and clean. Ooh, we need a light. Of course, being green. Put that little dot right down here. Let's get a glow on it to pop out even better. Then yeah, kind of like I was saying with the wax stuff, I wanna see if I can make those stripes out of the splashiness. Okay, we need to trace this out like this. Then we can move it over. Budget Spotify. That's awesome. We'll do a version with and without the lines. How about that? Next, for the simple design, it is really annoying that these lines aren't evenly sized. And if we are thinking about this as a vinyl record, then the grooves don't really make sense going like right through the middle like that. Instead, they should be emitting from the middle. So let's get a circle to start. We'll get a triangle that's gonna be pointing directly at the middle of the circle. And if we take the intersection of the two shapes, we get this. I'm actually gonna do the same thing as the Instagram design and make it full screen. So we'll do a green background with the black lines. Then we can like punch a hole right out of this. Then we'll repeat that process again. And one final circle. And with the collection of all these shapes, we can do one last hole punch. Just like this. And that is basically just the Wi-Fi logo. Dang it. Okay, whatever. At least it's evenly spaced. Ooh, actually, I had a better idea. You see what I'm going for, though? Where it's like the shiny part of the record right here, but just more simple. I don't know. I think that looks pretty bad, honestly. I'm sticking with this guy. I don't even care. There you go. Spotify, simple version. Complicated version. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Nice. These designs are looking pretty solid and we still got a few more to go through. But first, I'm gonna lay back to tell you about today's sponsor, Sihoo. Introducing the Sihoo Doro S100, aka my new desk chair. I spend a lot of time at my desk designing, editing, and basically anything else. And when I sit too long in an uncomfortable chair, I end up looking like this. Having good ergonomics is super important to stay healthy long term, and this chair has all the support and customization you need. You can adjust the height, armrests, cushion, and backrest however you want. Thanks to those adjustments, it supports anyone from 5 foot to 5'11", and even though I'm a bit taller than that, it still keeps me comfortable. The dual dynamic lumbar support adapts to your body thanks to these 4 omnidirectional springs, keeping you comfortable upright, reclined, or moving around. You're free to recline up to 135 degrees, which is essential for me to be able to chill out. And honestly, it kind of just looks cool. Like, check it out. To get your own Sihoo Doro S100 chair, click my link in the description and use my code to get an extra 6% off your chair. Anyway, next on the list, we've got Google Chrome. This is, of course, the most popular internet browser in the world, being the main way to Google stuff because it's made by Google. Anyway, with a name like Chrome, it kind of implies there's going to be some sort of chrome texture, like metal. So that's going to be the gist of the complicated one. First, let me just outline all these shapes. Now, the Google Chrome logo kind of reminds me of a camera aperture, like the mechanism that opens and closes the camera. But apparently, it's supposed to be a compass. Huh? Yeah, look at that. And let's get our metal texture back in here. Put it at the right spot. And we'll do that for each one of them. Cool. That already looks kind of sick, honestly. But let's try to get some of the color back by doing some blending. The luminosity blend mode just takes into account the brightness, not the colors. At least from what I understand. I don't know. And for the center, I actually want to get a light just like this. Whoa. That's crazy looking. Of course, let's shift that over to blue. And now I'll just add some basic shading to all of it, making it look nice and 3-dimensional. Okay, this is actually gonna look pretty clean, I think. That is so edgy and crazy, but I got one more idea. I just want a kind of crazy metallic background. I don't know what that necessarily means. Yeah, just something like this. There you go. super complicated. Moving on to our simple design. I'm gonna go for a white background this time. We'll get a little shadow so it's actually visible. Now that compass idea I was talking about does make sense. It's like you're using it to explore the internet because it's so fun and scary. But I don't know, I feel like search fits a little better than explore. And of course, the universal symbol for searching is the magnifying glass. So let's try to make one of those. Pretty simple, got the circle into a rectangle. That looks actually perfect. And I guess we can just experiment with some colors. Maybe go for that classic Google blue. I know it seems like I'm just putting all my effort into the detailed ones and not even trying on the simple ones, but it's like, I don't know, it's gotta be simple. What else am I supposed to do? Oh, I got an idea for one detail to add. We'll just get a little shape right in here, just being a nice little shine. I think that's it. Google Chrome. I mean, the detailed one definitely is cooler, but Google Chrome kind of is just a tool, so the simple one does make sense. Cool, then coming up, we have an app that we all know and love, YouTube. But first, I got a quick bonus app. This being the weather app. Now you might be wondering, why do I count weather as a bonus app when maps and Chrome aren't? And that's just because my ideas for it are very simple. To start off, I'm actually gonna do the simple one first. Let's just get a nice sky blue gradient. We'll rotate it so that the brightness is coming from where the sun would be. And we're of course just gonna make the simplest looking cloud of all time. Maybe we could do a nice little like this. Get the curves looking all nice. We'll give it a little bit of a shadow, and yep, that's it. No sun, only cloud. Nice. Then for the complicated one, I'm taking inspiration from what you get when you actually go inside the app. Depending on the actual weather in your area, it's gonna show it in different ways on the screen. Like if it's sunny, it's all blue and bright. If it's nighttime, then it looks like nighttime. And if it's raining or snowing, it shows that in the animations. So I just want it to do the exact same thing, but just on this little tiny app on the home screen. Like totally realistic and everything. It'll be animated. It's genius, I know. Thank you. Thank you. Here's what both of those would look like. Honestly, I think they're both pretty solid. And of course, that finally brings us to our final one for today. YouTube. You gotta love it. You're watching it right now. I'm making stuff for it right now. And they got a pretty solid icon. Now this shape is of course derived from their older logos, which look like this, which is supposed to mimic the look of a TV screen like the old round ones. And they showed that off even more in their old app icon, this guy. Pretty solid. I say we just update this one to look more modern, nicer. Maybe not more modern. We want to keep the old TV aesthetic, but just overall cleaner. We'll start with something like this, but let's cut out just this rectangle. Then I think we should try to maintain that exact shape of the original. So let's make that nice and big, and we'll give this a nice warp. Let's just grab these corners, scrunch them in. What's that look like? Not great. Okay, never mind. We don't need the shape. Let's get a nice wood frame. That fits perfect. Let me look at one of those references again. Yeah, let's take those dials from this guy. We'll just rotate that whole thing. Maybe rotate it the opposite way, actually. Maybe our background can just be a nice black, like plastic sort of thing, which in reality would be a little more like a really dark gray. I'm gonna mess with this wood frame so that it kind of goes around this little console bit we have. Just something simple like that. Maybe we can boost the brightness and colors a little bit. Then of course, you're all wondering what goes inside the middle of the TV screen. We don't want to just keep it blank like the original. By default, we're gonna essentially just remake the original logo. So let's get that red and overlay it a little different. Bring back another white triangle. Nice and big, right in the center. There you go. Ooh, maybe we get like a nice glow around it as well. Cool, then like I said, this is the default way it looks. But once you start watching YouTube a bunch and getting subscribed to a bunch of channels, subscribe please. Then whenever someone you're subscribed to posts a new video, their icon goes onto this screen. So say you're a wonderful Oats Jenkins subscriber like yourself, and I just posted a new video like this one, my channel icon will appear inside this TV. Come on, you gotta admit, that'd be pretty sweet. Again, just giving these icons a little more functionality like the weather one. Then last but not least, we've got to make the simple version of YouTube. You probably know exactly where this is going. Same sort of thing as the Instagram one. Red icon, white triangle. Okay, it won't be quite that boring. Just hold on a minute. Of course, we want to give it a nice amount of character, which we can do with some shading. So we'll start with an overall shadow like so. Then within this triangle, we're gonna get a shadow that's just a little bit blue. We'll make it nice and soft. And that's it. I don't know. I think that looks pretty clean. I think today's episode was a pretty solid success. I genuinely do really like a lot of these, but honestly, I think my favorites have got to go to Instagram. And for the tradition, I'm actually going to put both of those on the globe today. And I want to hear from you guys whether you're team simple or complicated on this one. Personally, I'm going team complicated because I spent so much time on them. Anyway, for next episode, let's call it back. Let's make even more emoji. I had a bunch of fun with those ones, and it seems like you guys liked them a lot too. Just leave a comment for any emoji ideas that you guys have. I see those suggestions easier if you're a channel member. Thank you guys for the support. But let me know if you guys like this type of video where it's kind of a battle between two different styles. And that'll be it. Subscribe.